That brings their net settlement to negative $479 for negative $1.83 per mile. Welcome back to Trucking the 7 Seas. This is episode number 59, and in this episode, we're going to go over week 8 of the Landstar Owner-Operator Program. We have a very short week this week because we only ended up taking one load that hits this settlement, and the reason for that is because we ended up taking one load and then took a long load, and the long load was done basically entirely on this settlement. However, it's not going to hit this settlement's paycheck, so we only have one load to go over. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. We started as a company driver working for night transportation, moved on to a lease operator working for night transportation, and now we are an owner operator working for Landstar. I show all of the loads I take, what the revenue is, what the expenses are, and what my net cash flow is, and I compile all of this information that I put into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. But for our last episode, we left off in Atlanta, Georgia. So we dropped a load in Atlanta, Georgia. And then I just took a very short load from the Atlanta area to Alabama. And it was only like 200 miles. And then after that, I booked a long load. It's about 2,000 miles to Las Vegas. And while in Las Vegas, I had my APU worked on. So my APU wasn't working. It just wouldn't turn on. So had that worked on while I was there. And as a result of the 2,000 mile load, that basically it's not going to hit this paycheck. So we're going to have basically a very short paycheck this week, and next week will be a very juiced paycheck because the 2,000 mile load I did almost entirely on this week's paycheck, but it's not going to hit this week's paycheck. It's going to hit next week's paycheck. So we technically have a terrible week this week, and next week we'll have a juice settlement, basically. So with that said, since we only have one very short 200 mile load to go over, we're going to go ahead and just move straight into the Landstar Loadboard segment of the video. So I had a longtime viewer, request that I do a loadboard search in Pittsburg, Pennsylvania for 48-foot flatbed. So we're going to go to Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. We're going to do the 48-foot flatbed search, and then we're going to do Pittsburg, Pennsylvania, where we're also going to do the dry van and reefer search. So let's go ahead and move into the loadboard portion of this video right now. We're going to go ahead and do the search in Pittsburg, 100-mile radius, picking up, I guess we'll just do today. So it's Thursday, so we're going to do a weekly search, just a weekday search, and see what comes up. Last time I did it on Friday. We'll do it on Thursday, and you wouldn't necessarily have to take a weekend load on Thursday. You can do something that gets you to Friday. So that's what we're going to do. It's also Thursday, so I don't have a choice. So that's the day we're going to choose. I did have somebody request a Monday search, but Monday's come and gone, so maybe next week. So that's what we're going to do. Again, it's a pretty basic search here. It's just same old. Any hazmat, max stop is 3, flatbed, no teams, not collecting from the shipper, none of that, and that's what we're going to do. Also, I have to keep the truck running, so I'm in Vegas right now, and it's really hot outside. I'm waiting to get unloaded here, so. Yeah, so if you hear the background noise, that's what's going on here. I'm in Vegas right now, and it's hot, and I have to have it on, so that's what you hear. Anyways, let's go ahead and do this search. All right, so here's the search. This is, again, flatbed. We're going to go ahead and cycle by rate per mile. All right, so this viewer was specifically interested in 48-foot, so I'll focus on these ones right here. This is just a tiny one, obviously, 61 miles, paying $8 a mile. Crazy amount, highly profitable, that's a 48-footer, picks up on today at 1,300 and drops same day before 7, looks like. I'm not going to click on it, there's nothing really to show. I mean, you can see it all right there. That's 46,000 pounds. Yeah, that's a good one right there, I suppose. Then scrolling down, and there's a total of 40 loads, by the way, coming out of Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. Again, 100-mile radius. So that's what's going on there. And got this one right here, 486 miles, pays about $6 per mile. I guess we'll click on this one. It's 46,000 pounds. And same rules as last time, I'm going to hide information. So I know there's a phone number right there. So I'm hiding this information down here. So, and there's a phone number over there as well. So same rules as last time. That's going to be pretty continuous. So we're going to have to do that every time. But yeah, 286 miles, pay 1,700 bucks. $6 per mile, picks up today, drops tomorrow. You got to pick it up basically at midnight, which kind of sucks. But other than that, yeah, goes from Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania to Lusby, Maryland. Yeah, there you go. And you can haul this one in a 48-footer, 53-foot, or flatbed. I'll be honest, I don't know the difference between a 53-foot flatbed and just what flat means. I actually do not know the difference there. Again, I'm not a flatbed guy. I'm sure one of you will comment about my rookiness on that. But yeah, I don't know the difference between these two. Anyways, there's that one. Pick off that one. Scrolling down here, got one going from Leesville, Pennsylvania to Hillsboro, Ohio. 240 miles, $4 a mile, $8,000, 38,000 pounds. Yeah, there's that one. Got another one going to New York, 400 miles, $4 a mile. And again, I'm just going to go over the 48-foot ones because that's what this viewer asked for. And then some of them, you can haul with 48-foot or 53-foot, or that's a 53-foot step deck. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. But I'm just going to focus on those ones. Let's try to find a long one here. Longer one. And there's 1,000, but that's not it. Okay, here we go. So this one's a 800-mile load for $267 per mile, 44,000 pounds, pays $2,170. Going from Warren, Ohio to Kansas City, Missouri. Go ahead and check that one out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you see it. Again, I'm hiding the information down right below Warren, Ohio. There's information I gotta cut off, or actually you can't even see that. But yeah, I'm hiding information right kind of down there. Yeah, same as always. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. You pick it up today. The downside is you would have to deliver it on Monday. So this is a weekend load. It's only 800 miles. So, I mean, that's not great, right? There's 4 days in there that you have to kind of account for. So that's not ideal. It is 44,000, or I mean, it's 44,000 pounds, but yeah, what's to say? It's a somewhat long load. Not great though, because again, you're holding it over the weekend and then you're just sort of sitting for most of the weekend, because this you can get done in just about a day and a half. So interesting. And only says 48 foot. I would certainly think that you could haul it in a 53-foot as well if you wanted to. That would just be my assumption. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. And the only, I guess maybe if they just can't fit a 53-footer in there. Well, I don't think that's likely. I think you could probably haul it 53-foot as well. But yeah, there's that one. Alright, let's keep scrolling here. There's the next 1,000-mile load going from Youngstown, Ohio to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Try that one. Yeah, again, it's a weekend load, so that sucks. You'd have to pick it up and then you'd be hauling it through the weekend. It is about a 2-day load, give or take. So, you'd probably pick it up on the afternoon of the 6th, drive the 7th and the 8th, reset the 9th, and then drop it the next day. So it's not terrible. I mean, that's okay. I might be a little, I might be interested in doing something like that. But yeah, 1,000 miles, $2,800, $261 a mile. From Pittsburg to Youngstown, Ohio, 47,000 pounds. Pretty straightforward. There's that one. And then, okay, here's a nice one, kind of. All right, so this one's going from Latrobe, Pennsylvania to Rancho Cucamonga, California. Rancho Cucamonga is Los Angeles, if you didn't know. So, 2,300 miles, 24 basically for $5,000, $230 a mile, 47,000 pounds. Takes you through the weekend, obviously, because it's a very long load. This one, I don't even think there's time for a reset necessarily. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. You do have to tarp it, so it says right down here, over here, that you have to tarp it. 4-foot tarps. Yeah, I mean, this one isn't too bad. I mean, it takes you through the weekend. 48, 53, or whatever the difference between those two is. Someone please comment, because I don't know. There's that one. But yeah, not bad. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm not going to go through every single one of these. You get the idea of all this stuff. I mean, it's paying about $2.50 to $3 per mile, depending on the length. But, you know, as I'm searching these, like, these aren't particularly paying much more than a lot of the van running I'm doing right now. It definitely does pay more, but I'm looking at, like, the drop-off times, and I'm like, that's a crappy, you know, it's just, you're just holding that load for, like, 2 days when you don't need to. You know, you can get it there in like a day, but you got to hold it through the weekend. With the van loads, yeah, I can grab a load that'll carry me through the weekend. It might be less profitable, but I'm not sitting for a day. So I don't know, for like 2 days or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, but as I'm looking at these loads as a flatbed, especially for the weekend, I'm pretty glad to be running van, because these loads are just like, you know, 500-mile load, and it'll deliver on like the 10th or whatever, like 4 days from now. I wouldn't want to have to, you know, make that decision. So I don't know, but there's that. That's you know, that's flatbed. We just looked over the 48 footers because that's what the viewer requested. But you can, you know, get the idea from a lot of these other ones. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's flatbed. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to dry van. Okay, so same thing. We're going to switch it from flatbed to dry van. I'm also going to add in a min rate per mile of 2 just to filter out the trash that can come in the van market. Didn't have to do that with flatbed because there's nothing is below $2 per mile with flatbed. It does pay better, but I don't know. I don't know about doing that with those loads, you know, having you sit for 2 days or whatever. I don't know about that. But anyways, yeah, same thing. Pittsburg, dry van, 100-mile radius, $2 per mile. Let's search. So go by rate per mile. All right, so you got the super short ones that always pay good, you know, 30 miles for, you know, $900, you know, $30 per mile. Pretty crazy. A lot of stuff like that. 157 miles, $7 per mile, $5 per mile. Obviously, these are pretty through the roof. You could definitely do them, and I probably should start doing more of these loads like this. Really, this, you know, the maintenance issues have been running me into the weekend, and then by the time that my truck comes out of maintenance, I'll pick something up, and it'll be like Friday, and I'm like, all right, I just need something to get me through the weekend. So I am intending to kind of run more of these loads like this. Like, I would definitely do this kind of stuff. It's just been, you know, the maintenance issues have really been getting in my way, and they're going to get in my way this week as well. Hopefully next week, things will be a little bit better. I would hope so. So anyways, yeah, I'm just going to scroll down. You guys can kind of look at them. 400 miles, 500 miles, stuff like this. Let's try a medium load. Let's look at, how about this one? $349 per mile, 500 miles, pay $1,700 from Portland, Ohio to Connecticut. Let's just click on this one, see what it's about. Yeah, picks up today, anytime, drops tomorrow, which is Friday, anytime. That would give me time to go grab another load and get through the weekend. So this one, yeah, potentially doable. I might be willing to haul something like this. It's pretty good, pretty straightforward. First come, first serve. Not half bad, right? I mean, yeah, not half bad, I would say. Yeah, okay, there's that one. Then, you know, a lot of 300, 400, 500 mile loads here. How many loads total? Yeah, there's 125 loads total, by the way. And I guess this is what I like about van, is just there's a lot of options. Whereas Reefer, there's less options. At Flatbed, there's really less options. But I don't know. The other ones certainly would probably pay better. But okay, let's keep looking. $3 per mile. Let's try to find something a little bigger here, just for my knowledge. All right, there's about 1,988. Pays $290 per mile. 32,000 pounds. Goes to Orlando. So yeah, again, if you're going to Florida, you are going to have to probably take either a really crappy load out of there or just deadhead out of there. So you got to take that into account. It's 1,000 miles, delivers, I think that's Sunday. Yeah, so it delivers Sunday, which isn't like, it's actually not too bad, because then you can, you know, grab something on Monday if you wanted to. So that's not too bad, but again, you're going to Florida, and watch, let's see how many loads. Oh, there's a handful of loads coming out of Florida, so I don't know. And I could search loads at destination. Okay, I'll show that right now. So here's the load. It's going to Florida. Again, Florida isn't a great market. Um, this is a drop and hook. Can I show this? Yeah. So this is, it says down here, I'll show it. It's okay. It's a drop and hook. For pickup, it's a live unload at delivery. Looks like it could be hazmat. So it's saying, okay, so there's a wide range. So this is one of their shippers. Like, they have a contract, and pretty much the shipper can put whatever they want in it, from 32 to 42,000 pounds. And sometimes it's hazmat, is what he's saying there. So you got to be willing to do that. I don't know if I would be willing to do it or not. And it picks up by 8 to noon and drops in Florida on Sunday, 9 to noon. So, there's that. And then, again, I'll show this button. So, this button works with Dry Van or whatever, or Reefer or whatever, and it just shows all of the loads in Florida, going out of Florida. And if you look, all of these loads are local loads going out of Florida. If you wanted to get out of Florida once you're in Florida, you'd have a pretty crappy rate. So just be aware of that. So this is the Dry Van in Florida if I were to take that load, which I don't want that load. I'm just kind of showing you guys that it will show you the Dry Van loads coming out of Florida, given your original search criteria. So just be aware of that. I could search it as well. But yeah, so this is the loads coming out of Florida with the original search criteria that I originally searched for when I was in Pittsburg. Hope I'm making sense. Those are the loads. They're not great. These are all really short loads, by the way, like 240 miles, and they're only paying like $250 a mile, and they're still in Florida. So none of these are leaving Florida. Florida. That's why if you go to Florida, you need to make sure you can get out of Florida. Okay, so now we're back in the Dry Van original search that I've done. I was just on this one right here, going to Florida. And yeah, let's just keep scrolling. Let's see here. Let's find a long one. See what the long ones are paying. That one, same thing, going to Florida. Oh yeah, not very good. Yeah. All right, so yeah, you probably I didn't see there's only like one that's above 1,000 miles. But yeah, so it looks like there's just a ton of loads between like 200 and 600 miles coming out of Pittsburgh right now in a Dry Van. And they pay okay. I mean, they're not too bad. $3 per mile for 500 mile load, 400 mile load. I mean, it's not too bad. This one, again, that's the Florida one. So that's okay. I mean, I'm not too upset. You could definitely, it's Thursday, so I could definitely grab something if I were in Pittsburgh. I'm in Vegas again. That's why the truck is running. But yeah, if I were in Pittsburgh, I could definitely grab something in Pittsburgh, maybe go to Ohio or something like that. And then from Ohio, it'll be Friday. And then on Friday, grab a load from Ohio to, the West Coast to get me through the weekend. So that would probably be my plan in this instance. But yeah, there's Dry Van. Yeah, there's Dry Van. Okay, that's out of Pittsburgh. Now let's go ahead and do Reefer. All right, yep. Broken record here. Just going to click off Dry Van and go to Reefer. And hit search. Boy. I would not want to I mean, I did Reefer at night for like 3 weeks, and I quit it actually. I went back to van because the load time's really crappy and I didn't like it. But now that I'm looking at these, I mean, you got 7 loads right here. Man, I would not want to drive a Reefer. Like, I'm just looking at this. This sucks. Like, you have no options right now. Like, what do you even do? I know during like the summer it gets better as a Reefer because that's when all the fruit and vegetables start getting, they start growing. But I'm just looking at this like, I suppose I'm just in a bad market for Reefer. Like, I'm searching a bad market for Reefer. But still, like, this sucks. Like, how do you Reefer guys do it? Like, I would not want to be you. I'm just looking at this, and I don't think I'll ever go back to Reefer ever again. I didn't like it at night when I did it, and I'm just looking at the options available. Dry Van had like 125 loads, and then, the Flatbed had like 40 or something like that, and then the Reefers is 7 loads. I don't even know if these are worth clicking on. Like, I mean, it's just Pennsylvania to Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania to New Jersey, Pennsylvania to New York, okay, there's one going to Virginia. Maybe that's better. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll click on this one right here. This one's going Akron, Ohio to Delaware. Picks up today, drops tomorrow. 18,000 pounds. It's hazmat, so this one's actually, I could do this in a van as well. Like, Yeah, so this isn't even necessarily a van load or a reefer load. It's a reefer or van. Oh yeah, no, these are all van or reefer. So I actually just saw these, but I didn't notice them. But yeah, these are all van or reefer. There's nothing that's like dedicated reefer. Yeah, so like you'd be just trying to grab something in a reefer. Yeah, that wasn't necessarily even for a reefer. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to click on. These are all like short loads going, like kind of local there. Yeah, I mean, there's reefer. I would not want to drive a reefer. I'm just looking at this and going, I would not want to do this. I know in the summer it pays a little better, but then you got to deal with crappy load times. Both like, a lot of times in a reefer, like the pickup time will be like at 2 a.m. or something, and then like it takes them like 5, 6, 7, 10 hours to load you a lot of the time. And like I don't think usually you don't get detention until after 4 hours. And yeah, the whole thing. And then just looking at the options here, I don't think I'll ever haul a reefer again. This would suck. Like, that's terrible. That's awful. So I guess the same thing as last week. Like if you have a reefer and you're in Pittsburg, Pennsylvania, you're screwed. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, there's reefer, there's van, and there's flatbed. So there's the search board for this weekend. If you guys have a specific request, just go ahead and put it in a comment. I'll see if I can get to it. Yeah, so there's the load board, and now we'll go ahead and get back to the video. Okay, yeah, so there was the load board portion of the video. I hope you guys liked that. You seem to like it. I had a lot of questions about the load board, so I think you guys do, in fact, like me when I show the load board. So I'm probably going to make that an every week thing. So we'll go over a load board search, and you guys can see what the rates are going for and all that good stuff of reefer, and then dry van, and then flatbed. If you have a special request, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'll see if I can get to it. If there's a bunch of requests, then obviously I can only pretty much do one, so that's just kind of going to be the way it's going to be. So, but go ahead and make requests if you want them, and I'll try to get to them. So another update about the Landstar negotiation. So when I was in orientation, the instructor very clearly said that there was no negotiation at Landstar, and I was a little skeptical. So I kind of asked, like, okay, so there's no negotiation at Landstar? And he's like, yeah, there's nothing. And I'm like, oh, okay. Surprised, because I thought there was. And then some of you guys have been commenting that, no, you can negotiate loads. And, I was like, well, okay, what's going on here? So I was very confused. And then I asked my my counselor. Basically, I have like an advisor that, she calls me up about every couple weeks and says, asks how I'm doing. And I asked her, like, hey, is there negotiation here? And she's like, yes, there is negotiation here. It's like, so, okay. Yeah, apparently that instructor was just completely wrong. So I'm like, okay, so what can I negotiate? And a lot of you guys have been commenting that you can negotiate the non-dedicated shippers. So basically, if it's not a direct shipper, you can negotiate. I'm at a shipper right now. So if you're doing a non-direct shipper, you can negotiate. And you guys were completely correct. So yeah, so I'm going to start doing that now. I did put a little feelers out when I first started, but I think I was doing direct shippers with those ones. So I just got confused because I got directly told that, no, you can't negotiate, when in fact you can negotiate. So that was very frustrating. You guys are right. I am wrong, and that instructor was wrong. And you can negotiate the non-direct shippers. So I'm going to start doing that. But yeah, just clarify, you guys are absolutely correct, and I was absolutely wrong. So thank you for that. Yeah, but other than that, that's about it. I just wanted to confess that you guys were right and I was wrong. So there's that. So I'll start doing that a little more. I'll try to put some filming in if I can, but I think I mentioned last episode that the filming of calling the shippers and going over what loads I'm going to take on the load board was extremely time consuming. And I'll try to do it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it very well because it's just taking too much time, unfortunately. So we'll see if I can do it, but don't hold your breath. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to film the phone calls. It just takes too much time to edit it. So we'll see, though. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and hop straight into the spreadsheet. There's not much to show as far as the loads and everything because there's only one load. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the spreadsheet right now. Okay, it's spreadsheet time. For week 8, we did one load. In that one load, we got 262 miles. We were paid a total of $896.66 for an average of $3.42 per mile. Landstar's cut was $334 at $1.28 per mile. Fuel expenses were $768.91 for an average of $2.93 per mile. There were no maintenance expenses this week. Other expenses: FWCP $72, truck scans $2, escrow $66, bobtail $34, license fees $3.69, permits $10.58, plates $32, Omnitrax $93, physical damage premium $280, tolls $11.60 for a total of $607 for an average of $202.32 per mile. Totals for week 8. Total expenses were $1,375 for an average of $5.25 per mile. Total revenue was $896 for a total of $3.42 per mile. That brings our net settlement to negative $479 for negative $1.83 per mile. Total since starting the program, we have driven a total of 13,100 miles. Total expenses were $14,988 for an average of $1.14 per mile, and that is my cost per mile right there. Total revenue was $20,076 for an average of $1.53 per mile. That brings our net settlement to $5,088 for a total of 39 cents per mile. Averages and other information: average weekly paycheck is $636. Average weekly miles is 1,638. Total fuel costs have been $6,360 for an average of 49 cents per mile. Total maintenance costs were $4,952 at 38 cents per mile. Total other expenses were $3,674 for an average of 28 cents per mile. If we kept this up for a 52-week period, I'd make $33,000 and drive an average of 85,000 miles. Landstar 35% cut has equated to a total of $6,837 at 52 cents per mile. We were employed 56 days, or 8 weeks, taking 10 days off, 46 days on duties, 11 total loads, and the average load length is 1,191 miles. Okay, caveats for week 8. Obviously, only one load actually hit the paycheck, so that was the big one. 200 miles, that's nothing. And then, so that was a big one. Obviously, I didn't have any revenue really. And then the fuel expense. So, as mentioned, I had that 2,000 mile load headed to Vegas. So while I did this load on the paycheck, I started fueling up for that 2,000 mile load also on this paycheck, because I was fueling up as I was going, and those fuel ups were counted on this settlement. So as a result, my fuel expense obviously is just insane, on a cost per mile basis anyway. So that's what happened there. The fuel costs for the 2,000 mile load are on this paycheck, and then the fuel costs next week will be kind of low. So that's what happened there. That's why that's insanely high, is because I was fueling up for the 2,000 mile load on this paycheck. So that's that. Good news for this week: we didn't have any maintenance expenses, which have been a problem. So we didn't have any maintenance expenses this week, so that's good. We did have to bring the truck in to get the APU fixed in Vegas, so got that done, and I'm reporting now that it does appear to be fixed. So that's good, and looks like the APU is finally good to go, and it's saving me money rather than costing me time at this point. So that's good. Okay, so a few comments that I saw. Wanted to clarify, this number right here and this number right here are the number after Landstar takes its cut. So Landstar 35% cut, that right there, is already subtracted from these numbers. So this is what is going into my bank account every week, this right here, okay? This already has Landstar's cut, and yeah, just to clarify, that is already minused, and this is what I'm getting so far. This will improve drastically in the coming weeks. The maintenance issues have been a huge problem the last couple weeks, so that'll get better. But yeah, this includes Landstar's cut, so it's already taken out, and that's what we're dealing with right there. And then for this total expense right here, I had someone comment that my cost per mile may not be correct, but it is most definitely correct. I mean, that's within probably 2 cents, I would say, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was exactly dead on. So this, of course, does not count like what I'm paying myself. So I guess there's two philosophies when you are calculating your cost per mile and what you pay yourself. What I pay myself is whatever's left over. So that's kind of my philosophy on that. Yeah, that's just my philosophy. This is the cost per mile to run the truck down the road, not the cost of running the truck down the road and paying myself. Now, if I had a driver and I had to pay that driver 60 cents per mile or whatever, 65 cents per mile or whatever, then I would include that in the cost per mile, because that is an expense to me. But my philosophy is, my pay is whatever I get after everything's paid off. So this is the cost to run the truck down the road, and it is accurate. So it's $1.14 or cents per mile right now, and that's going to actually probably go down significantly in the coming weeks, because this maintenance expense right here is very high, and yeah, that's probably going to go down in the coming weeks. And I would think that this other expense cost right here would also go down, because right now my revenue is complete trash. So the greater my revenue is, the lower this cost per mile will be, because these are fixed costs. So the more revenue I have, the lower that fixed cost actually costs. So yeah, but yeah, this right here, that cost per mile is accurate. It does not include what I pay myself. What I pay myself is whatever's left over. So that's my philosophy on that. But yeah, this is actually basically dead nuts accurate. I would say within 2 cents, and I'd actually be willing to bet it is exactly accurate. So just a note there. Okay, another housekeeping note. I accidentally had this on restricted, so none of you could actually view it, which tells me that very few of you are actually looking at this thing. So, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, somebody finally commented that they couldn't open it, and that's when I realized it was on restricted. So yeah, all my work, nobody's actually viewing. So that's interesting to know, except that one guy. Thank you for commenting, because I didn't realize it was restricted. It should be unrestricted now, so if you're watching this, you should be able to go ahead, and if you want to use a spreadsheet, just hit File, Download, and then download it to a Microsoft Excel sheet, and then you can use it however you please. Yeah, and then for next week, we're going to have a very good week, I can tell you. We have that 2,000 mile load, and then we get like another 1,500 mile load or something like that, so we're going to have like 3,500 miles on the books, or something to that effect. Not 100% sure. So it's going to be a pretty good week. And so far, no maintenance expenses the week after that I'm currently filming this on anyway. So that the next 2 weeks I think will be pretty solid. And then, as mentioned before, this fuel cost is for next week's paycheck. Next week load. So my next week's fuel costs will also be down. So I think we're going to have kind of a banger week next week. Okay. And then this number right here should start to increase rapidly, I would guess. This is not normal, and that's what's going on there. So some of the other comments on there, total revenue, you see my after cost per mile revenue is $1.53, which is not high enough. I definitely need to start bringing that up. I need to start booking some better loads, and I would tend to agree that this is low. There were a lot of things in the first couple months that really got in my way. During the first couple weeks, I didn't have plates, and I didn't have a pre-pass, and didn't have any of that, so I was really kind of skimpy on where I wanted to go, because I didn't want to run like California, for instance, because I didn't have plates. So that's a problem. And I was on paper logs, so yeah, I just didn't want to do that, obviously. So that slowed me down. Then I had to grab a trailer, which sent me up to Salt Lake for the first week, and then I had to go back to Salt Lake to grab the plates that were then delivered like the week afterward or something like that, because I had to drive through Vegas. So I was doing a lot of weird stuff in the first couple weeks, and you can kind of see that up here. Like, this is week 5, $1.42 per mile. What was it here? $1.35, which is complete trash. $1.37. So these were all like, these first like 3 weeks really slowed me down. I also just didn't know what I was doing. Just trying to get to specific places really slowed me down and really cost me. Yeah, so that's not good either. And then yeah, starting to pick up. It started to pick up about here. Basically last week is when like everything started to fall in line, and I started to book better loads. This one right here, obviously, is just a 200 mile load. So pretty much a valid criticism is what I'm saying, that this revenue per mile is really bad, and I would tend to agree. And I'm starting to get a little better at it, and I think that will also start going up. So I don't think I've booked anything less than like $1.80 per mile ish, $1.68 per mile I think was the lowest one, maybe something like that. So I think that'll start going up. But yeah, that's a valid criticism, that cents per mile is extremely low. So we need to work on that. Anyway, but that will do for this episode. Thank you for watching. Once again, if you are interested in this spreadsheet, it's in the About section down below. After you open it, just hit File, Download, and then download it to a Microsoft Excel sheet. It's now accessible to you, so you can do that now. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.